More of these green clippings have arrived today, so I'm filling this bed with them. Obviously once they start to rot down and compost down, it will go down quite a bit, so I'm going to try and put as much on top of it as possible, but there's only so much there available, so I'll bring in as much as I can, build the level up as high as I can, and we'll see how it goes after that. And then once the level is up a bit more, I can remove the bricks from the edges. I made a bit of a boo-boo with this weed barrel last year. I meant to come back and do a bit more clearing during the winter, but then we got round to it. I thought, well, I'll put some more weeds in and I'll add some water, but I never got round to it. And the ones at the top are actually thriving. Look at them. Dandelion, dock, buttercup, they're all in there. And this is like a fetid swamp. The stuff at the bottom is obviously rotted down nicely, but the stuff at the top that was just above the level of water managed to... You always think you're smart enough to deal with weeds, but they always manage to outsmart you. I mean, like the nettles next to it, that was filled and that's all rotted away nicely, but this just didn't have enough water and it's romping away. The weeds are going yoo-wee! Well, they're going to get covered up over the summer. This artichoke is showing no sign of life, so I was right to leave it to see what happened to it. As I have transplanted that, only to find out it was dead. It's just a fair sized pot, but it died. I mean, the other stuff that were in smaller pots, they didn't seem to do fine. So it was one that was given to me, so either it didn't like being transplanted or dug up, but anyway, it's dead. On the good news side, the asparagus is doing okay. I covered it over winter, so I've just uncovered it. Probably should have been a little bit quicker off the mark, but we've had some bad freezes, so I left the frost covers on. So they've gone a bit white and spindly, but now that they can catch the sun, they'll be fine. They didn't all make it, but I knew that, so they can go in the ground later this month. Just let them settle in and get themselves settled. Get used to the temperature now, get rid of some of them, and then I can put them into the ground. I had a few weeds in, but I've pulled the weeds out. But in there, sat with the asparagus all through winter, under covers. And the horseradish is coming up. This is the one that I actually tipped over and harvested and put a little piece back in. This is the one I didn't touch, and that seems to be coming back out. And this little one, if I can get the privet leaves out of the way so you can see better. This is the bit that I planted earlier this year, so I've got plenty of horseradish. So I've got a few buckets of weeds and things that need sorting, and this is like the Jerusalem artichokes. The other ones are okay, but the one in this pot, something seems to have got to it, so obviously that's going to go in the weed barrel as well. So get those in. And it will cover this lot, and then I'll just add some more water to top it off. Right, that's all that lot got in. I'm not harvesting any of this stuff from the weed barrel because I've got some from last year left over, and I've got some comfrey left over from last year as well, so I've got enough. And if need be, if I run short, I can always come and get some. Now, there seems to be some activity on these mushroom logs. Not a lot seems to be happening, but definitely it looks like fungal activity. Whether that's from the ones I put in is another matter, but we'll see what happens. It's time to sort this bed out. It had broad beans and garlic in last year, but it's just got really overgrown because I didn't put anything in after the garlic and broad beans were taken out. So the weeds just went rampant because it was never mulched. So you can see the value of mulch. Well, it's going to be a big job digging all this grass and dandelions, etc. out. I'll leave the comfrey. You can see the difference between mulch and no mulch. There's no doubt in my mind what's better. Well, this bed is now cleared. Took a while, and several wheelbarrow loads of grass and turf to clear it out. But this thing is driving me mad because I think they've buried a whole fork in there. God knows why. I was trying to dig it out. I thought it was just a bit of handle, but it looks like it's the whole fork that they've rammed into the ground for some unknown reason. So I need to dig this out. This took a lot of digging to take out, because when I first saw it, it's been on the allotment since I got it, and I thought it was just a piece of handle that was stuck in the ground, but when I tried to pull it, it wouldn't shift, so I left it alone. But I had to get it out to build a bed because it was in the way, and it was a whole fork. And they'd hammered that in and it wouldn't come out, so it took a bit of digging. Now that I've cleared this bed, I'm going to build bed, and I'm going to look at the other two next to it that have been under plastic, and so I will make all three beds at once, and then I can plant some potatoes into this one. I've brought in the potatoes, so we've got Nicola here and we've got Estima in that one. They've been chitting away in the egg boxes under the windowsill, so they do need to be planted. But I was a bit late clearing the bed, so you can see they're getting a bit wrinkly, don't look like they're getting a bit soft, so they really need to go in as soon as possible. The estima's not too bad, but they are larger potatoes. And when I plant these, I will take out some of the excess chits on some of them. I mean, this one's got 4, I'll probably take out 1 or 2 of them. So, I mean, this one's got 1, 2, and it's got some little ones, but I'll sort those out when I'm planting them, that's not a problem. This comfrey in pots is going to be planted in front of the other allotment, but I have a large patch of it. I've taken some that I've put in the pots, and some of it is actually buried under the pallets. It'll come back, it won't harm the comfrey, and the roots will come back. So I've got plenty of comfrey to plant in front of the other allotment if I need more. This apple tree is budding out, so we'll see what happens this year. Hopefully I'll get something decent out of it this year. Last year it fell over and then didn't do much after that, but I've tied it up to all these poles that I've driven into the ground, and I've made it secure and it hasn't fallen over. So hopefully it will fruit and we can see whether it's any good. I've already got a video of how I made these beds, so you can watch that if you like. They're basically a piece of pallet at that end and a similar one at the other end, and then long pieces of pallet connecting them, and there's joints in the middle. They're not perfect beds, but they'll do for a few years. Basically all they've got to do is keep the compost and the chippings separate. They're not sort of deep raised beds that I put in 20-30 centimeters of compost. They're just 10 centimeters high, and they get a bit of compost and mulch. And in fact, you can see over the course of the year it does go down. And then I put in about 10-15 centimeters of wood chips, and as it goes down I just keep topping it up. Obviously this is not connected up, but roughly you can see I've got a piece at the far end, long pieces with the joints there because these were 3 meters and the other bit is 1.5 meters. And the width of these beds are 1.5 meters, so you've got a piece of pallet that is 1.5 meters, and it's got the bits at the end. So this, when I push it up, if I push it up, this will go and get nailed onto that, and this will go and get nailed onto that. But the important thing is to lift the plastic and see what's under it. So I'm just going to leave these bricks here because I'm not going to cover or uncover everything, so I'm just going to uncover enough to cover about 2 beds. I don't know how I managed to get a brick under the plastic, but I did. But these are on the edge, and you can see this bit was poking out and it's green. These bits are in there and they're blanched because obviously they've been trying to grow with no sunlight, so they're looking a bit white and peaky. Otherwise, not too bad. I mean, it's definitely killed off the grass and everything. That's fine. So I'll uncover the rest of it and bring it back. As I'm going, I'm having to deal with brambles and things that are in my way because they're sort of going in and they've gone in under, so the little things are trying to trip me up as I clear this. We missed currant bush. I don't know why we missed it, how we missed it, but there's a great big slab here. This wasn't even visible amongst the weeds. The resident robin is having great fun because just when it needs to feed its chicks, the nice man comes and uncovers all this ground with nice worms and things in it. And it's been nipping around my legs and picking insects and worms out. Thinks its birthday's come. But obviously, anytime I point a camera at it, it disappears. And this plastic is second-hand plastic from a polytunnel. We wanted to recycle it, so it will go on either for cloches or a smaller coal frame. So, it's not looking too bad. Obviously these currant bushes, there's still bits to dig up, but that's not going to take long. And you know, there's a few persistent perennials that will cause trouble, but you can deal with those too. And when it was trimmed, obviously it left a load of wooden debris, but I can rake that up. It's heavy and hard work because obviously where there are dips it collects water, and trying to lift it with all that water in it, especially around here, there was a big pool of it, so it was heavy, but got it done. So I think the next job is to get a rake up some of the debris, find out where there are still bits of roots like here and dig them up. Then we're going to put the beds on top and deal with any weeds that come up, but there are the odd ones, you can see the odd ones, sort of white things. I'll probably dig these up as I go along, but then once they've got wood chips and things, a good thick layer of cardboard and compost and wood chips, the really persistent things will come up through the wood chips, like these thistles. Never seen a white thistle before. Well, the root has obviously been struggling to feed the plant, but because it's not seen any daylight, it's not turned green. But it'll only take a few days and these will get going. So I've got to get my skates on and get these beds done and covered. Somebody brought in a load of manure and didn't need all of it, so I took some and I used some, and this is where I put what was left, so this bit is actually nicely manured. So I should get nicer potatoes at this end of the bed than I will at that end. I mean, I will add some pelleted chicken manure, but I don't think I need to add anything at this end. Let's get the rake and rake up some of this stuff. It's not the end of the world if one or two of these things are left in the ground, because one thing I know, there is grass and rubbish down there, but these beds are 10 centimetres deep, and most things will be planted into compost in that. So in that way they are raised beds, but obviously because I put an equal amount of wood chips on the outside, they don't look like raised beds. But I'm not digging up stones and things. I haven't got it all, but I've got most of it. Bits of plastic and rubbish. That needs a bit. So looking around, there's right there something, and there's this big one here, I think this currant bush is surplus to requirements. I think it just wasn't doing very well, which is why I left it, but 100% having up currant bushes. Some good hefty roots on that, but it's going in the burn pile. Unfortunately, we're coming up to the end of burning season. So from 1st of May, today's the 30th. So from tomorrow I won't be allowed to burn anything. So these will have to sit there through summer and dry off. I'll cover them up and we won't be able to burn anything till October. So 1st of October we can start burning this stuff, get rid of it. So why we didn't bother to dig this one out. But when we trimmed it, everything, I think it might have been hidden, once it was trimmed, hidden bit all the other debris, which I just sort of left all the leaves and things to rot down, and they have done, but obviously woody roots and things haven't, so they need to be dug out. But crumbs. Take all the soil off the roots. Don't want to stick that in the fire. Right. Even if I do leave a bit of root, it shouldn't come up, and even if it does, I can always dig it out. There's no one here, no one there. So it's not the end of the world if a little raspberry or a little currant pops its head up. I can soon dig that up. I mean, they don't spread that fast. They're not like nettles and dandelions that you can never get rid of. Anyway, I've seen enough of this. I'll clear the others out